thing I just realized that is very common with my generation, which is the generation of 1990s and below. That's the millennial, the bloomers below. There's something I've realized that is very common with the women of those generations, my generation, is self-worth. Yes, they struggle with their self-worth. This is also coming from an experience. I struggled with my self-worth at a certain point in my life. Also, almost everybody I have come across, women, they struggle with their self-worth. It's something that is very common. Even all up to the beginning of Gen Z, the first 2-3 years of Gen Z, they struggle with their self-worth. Now I want to talk to anybody that has been struggling with their self-worth, wondering if they can ever get it, or if they ever had it before, they lost it and they want to get it back. Let me explain something to you about self-worth when it comes to being a girl. Why it is very common for us to struggle with our value, our self-worth, our identity. Let me explain what I think. This is my personal opinion and it makes sense. Okay, to me it makes a lot of sense. First, I'll start by saying the society has played a very big role in why women struggle with their self-worth, especially women from the 1990s below, why they struggle with their self-worth. Now, because of some of the research that I've been making, especially when it comes to my fashion designing, when I'm trying to make an outfit and I want to understand the outfit really well, and I decide to make research to, when did this outfit come into existence? Like, who created it? Why do we get to make something like this? And I'm reading about the evolution of the women fashion, and I see some of the things that were written about how women were treated back in the day, even before my generation. I'm like, what? This happened? So this is how women were treated in society. This is how women were treated. And men living in that particular generation accepted this as a fact and as a way of life. And they were living like that, treating their women the same way. How women were restricted to so many roles, how women were restricted to dressing in a particular way, or thinking, or expressing themselves, or moving, or doing anything. How women were restricted in being. Just, when you are here to exist, live life, experience your experience. That was not the case. Okay, back then, before my generation, even in fact, I feel like even before my mother's generation, because everything that I know now was passed on from my mother's mother to her, and it's something that why we progress, like why the years, why we progress, why we evolve, the freedom becomes, it expands, like it becomes, the freedom that we get as women becomes like more. I don't know if you get, am I making sense? As we evolve, we get more freedom. As we evolve, more things that were not accepted, society did not accept women to partake in. As we evolve, women are breaking into those, breaking those rules, breaking those things, and partaking in whatever it is that the society is saying no to. Women start partaking. Well, back then, women were restricted, and there were certain things that women were expected to be, who they were expected to be, things they were expected to do. There were certain things, rules and regulation, and because of that, a lot of our worth, a lot of our value was placed on how we were able to coexist in that particular society, how we were able to live our life in that particular society, and as we're living it, being accepted and liked by the society. So our worth was mostly tied to us achieving our goals. That's not our personal goals, the goals that has been expected by society. you know, we being able to achieve it and achieve it well, you know, live it and live it well, that is where our value and our worth was tied to, based on our level of submission, our level of obedience, our level of, I don't know which word. Most of the time when I start making this video, I don't know why I lack words. When I'm thinking it up here, see the fire in my head. When I open my mouth, I don't know what is trying to filter my words. But yeah, so most of our self-worth was tied to how we're able to accomplish or achieve the expectation that society has placed on us. And that is why right now you might be struggling with your worth or your value, because most of the things that you are supposed to or was supposed to be used to rate you as a good woman is tied, you know, to you being either a wife, a mother, being a nurturer, a caregiver, you know, being somebody that is living very well according to the society rules. And when something inside you want to do something else, like want to accomplish something else, you start struggling. You know, when something you know in you wants to, like, I want something else, but because you have been conditioned to believe that this is where your worth or this is how your value increase in society, how people are able to love and accept you, you know, how people are able to look at you and, you know, value you, when you're not achieving it and something in you want to do something else, you just start struggling with it. You start struggling with your worth, with your, you know, with your value. You start struggling. Society, our number one problem. In fact, the more I make research, the more I see the activities that women were only allowed to partake, the more I cry for the souls that existed back then, for my ancestors that existed back then, because I know how it would have felt. Like, I don't know, but sometimes I try to assume how it would have felt for them, you know, to live in a world where they are so restricted, where they are placed on a level where they could never even think about expressing themselves, not even doing it, not doing it. Just to think about it is like an abomination. Something I get to do right now, really, something I get to do right now at any second, minute. I am steady expressing myself, living my life, living my truth, you know, creating what I want to create, behaving the way I want to behave, wear what I want to wear, say what I want to say. Back then, it wasn't like this. So society is one of the problems. Now, the next problem we have, the next problem that has been causing us to fight with our self-worth, is our immediate guardian or parent or immediate people that people you call family. People you call family basically is one of the reasons why you fight with your self-worth, because if you grew up in a home where I grew up, if you grew up in the environment where I grew up, a lot of people are being held back from doing what they want to do, or from living the life they want to truly live, or being who they want to be, because of family members. The expectation your family members have towards you, how they expect you to behave, how they expect you to, you know, live your life, how they expect you to, you know, carry on the family name. These are one of the issues why we fight with our self-worth. Now you can try to be something that is unimaginable, but trust me, if your family see it, like, you know, something that has never been experienced in the society before, something that has never been taught to them, if you try to live that type of life, you instantly get black book or black or red, I don't know how they call it, but you become the black sheep. You become snubbed, You become the weird one. You become the one that they look at in a certain way. You know, they try to draw you back to the known because you're trying to move into the unknown. They try to draw you back to the known. And now they have you here second guessing yourself, second guessing if what you are trying to, you know, do or achieve is actually really out of the world, like it's unimaginable, it is not possible, like as if you're mad, as if, you know, as if really you should not fly, like the wings that have been given to you isn't, you're not meant to have it. They should cut it and you should just be at the level where they are. Your immediate family, people that you call family. Friends, you can be friends, close friends, or you can be just people that you grew up with. They can be another reason why you're struggling with your self-worth. Now, let me make it clear a little bit so you understand how these certain people can cause harm instead of good. Now, you live in a society already, because society is the number one problem, and these other people, that's your immediate family, which is the second problem, comes from the same society that you're coming from. Now, you all have been programmed, conditioned, you know, you guys have been taught to live and act in a certain way, you know, do things in a certain way. If not, you'll be shunned. If not, some, you know, so many of this extra shit that give people shame, that causes shame and guilt in people's life. These particular people are part of the society. Now, they are your immediate police officer. The society cannot put an eye on you. These are the people that put eyes on you. Now, you have this bunch of people around you that you're living with, eating with, having conversation with. These are the immediate people that, if you are meant to be like great in life, these are the people that should help you. These are the people that should help you expand your mind. But these same people are living in a society where they have been conditioned to actually think lower. You know, they have been conditioned to think in a limited way. And this is all they know. Now, these are the people that you're living with. Every second you're seeing them, you're eating with them, you're having conversation with them, you are doing things with them. And now this is you trying to live outside the box. This is you trying to do something different. This is you trying to live a life that you feel like this is going to be fulfillment to you, because this is your true nature. This is who you want to be. This is who you feel like you're meant to be. But they're like, no, this is against, you know, the rules of the society. This is against the teachings of the society. This is against, you know, what you have been taught. This is you going against your family. This is you going against, you know, your parents. This is you going against, you know, so many things. They try to manipulate your emotions so that they can bring you back to the level where the society has set. It can bring you back. Next is religion. Religion is another reason why you're fighting with your self-worth. Religion is another reason why you're fighting with your self-worth. I talked about how society treated women, how society made women feel, how society placed an unimaginable expectation on women. Now, another carrier of that particular box or prison or cuffs is religion. Every religion wants to make you feel like, as a woman, you are handicapped in a way, like you are weak in a way, and you need a man to behold, or you need to be, you know, one of those things that society say women should be. You need to be it to be complete. Religion is another carrier of that particular box or prison. Most religion has successfully brainwashed a whole lot of women to believe themselves to be a certain way, to see themselves, accept themselves as like a certain way, weak, little than a man, or a little bit little than a man, or just there for the consumption. Should I say consumption? Are we food? We are just here for decorative purpose for men. Like, we're just what men acquire. They've brainwashed a lot of women to believe that. Let's not even talk about how the God that saves you or that will save you in almost religion is a man. Let's not forget about how every movie, every book, every saying, every whatever makes it looks like she isn't complete without a man. So religion is one of it. Religion, everything about most religion is all about putting women in check, keeping them under, keeping them, as quiet and puppets and followers, and I don't know what word to use. Like I said, I keep fighting with myself when I come on my camera. I have a lot to say in here, but when I bring out my camera, something is trying to fit out my word. But I just hope what I'm saying is getting out to the right person, and you're listening, you're hearing me, you're understanding what I'm saying. Your self-worth is not something you should struggle with, but because of how you have been conditioned, how you have been groomed, you believe that you have issue with your self-worth. You believe that you need things, you need to acquire things, have things, be some certain way to get your self-worth to be really valued in the society. You don't. Now, society, your immediate family, or your immediate friends, or your immediate guardians, religion, these are the external forces keeping you below, keeping you where you think that you are right now, keeping you at the point where you think that you are right now. The government, which is the society, which is the system, was designed this way. Okay, it was designed, I don't know if this is a test, I don't know what this is, but it was designed in a way where women are in steady struggle with their self, which is their worth, their value. It was created in a way where they make sure that women were always seen as liabilities, not just by men, but even by them, by we ourselves, women. We're constantly seeing ourselves as liabilities. We're constantly seeing ourselves as something that was created to be bought, to be sold, to be given away. And for that reason, we're placed at the point where for us to really struggle out and just have a little voice, we have to do so many things that we're not proud of. We have to put our hands in, we have to live, we have to act in a certain way that we're not proud of, just for us to be able to survive. And in doing that, in partaking in those things just for us to survive, we get to lose more of our self-worth. Now, most of the time when you hear women say they struggle with their self-worth, or they are struggling with their security, that they have insecurities, it's based on the fact that the things that they have done, the things that they have been forced to do or made to do just to be able to survive, the shame, the anger, the isolation, a lot of things, those things are what comes together to fuck up your worth, your understanding of your worth and your value. I don't know if you're getting. I feel like I'm just touching the surface. I'm not going too deep. Society made it this way. Society, religion, let's just say the whole system was created in this way. Back in the days, before our parents, back in the days, the early days, that's based on the history that we're following right now, women did not have access to creating income for themselves. They didn't have access to creating income. And you know that having a source of income, or having money, or having something of value gives you freedom. It makes you, or it keeps you at the point where you don't have to submit to nobody, you don't have to, take some certain shit. Now, women back in the days didn't have access to these things. The only way a woman would be considered wealthy or rich or something is when it is through a man. Because back in the days, men were in charge, men were everywhere. Let's not talk about the workforce, let's say everywhere, not just the workforce. Men were everywhere, and men were the one that had the rights to have money, to have lands, to have properties, to have things. Women did not have the rights. Now you can be born into a rich home and still not have the rights to your father's or your mother's property. Your mother does not even have property, your father. And when you have and they get marry you off, it goes to your husband. Now women were placed at the point where for us to have access to some certain things, we have to go through men. And I don't know why, but women back in those days were so scared, that they followed this rule and they had to adjust their life to live in this rule, even though it really fucked them up emotionally, mentally, physically, even though it placed them at the point where I know that they wouldn't have been happy with such life. They followed this rule so that society will accept them, so that society will value them, so that society will regard them as at least human beings. So if you start to check where all this lack of self-worth is coming from, it isn't coming from you, okay? It is coming from the generation before you and the generation before that generation that is here before. I don't know if you're getting what I'm saying. Now I'm losing speech, I'm losing words, I'm losing letters, I'm losing a lot of things, but I don't know if you're getting. You're fighting with your self-worth. You feel like you lack it because this thing is something that has been done over time, and you are trying to do something different. You are trying to be something different. You're trying to create something different, and because this is new, it is a new ground, it is a new foundation. You don't know how to go about it, you don't know where to start from, and for that reason, for the reason that you're trying to strive to be this person, to evolve, and then also holding the old you from the lessons that you have been taught, the old foundation. Now you're stuck in the middle, you're caught in the middle. You are going to, of course, struggle with your self-worth. Especially if you have ever lived life thinking that the rest of your life you're going to be at the mercy of a man. You've always thought that, you are something lesser than a man. You've always thought that your experience is supposed to be lesser than what a man is having as an experience. You've always thought that you deserve lesser than a man does. Like, if ever you've thought about that, or you have lived life thinking that way, you are going to definitely be at the point right now where you're struggling with your self-worth and your value. Because for the longest time, it has been tied to you being what they expect you to be. It has been tied to you living the life that they expect you to live. And now you want to do something different. You want to create something different, and you don't know how to go about it. And now you are stuck. You are not just stuck. You are confused. You are lost. You are like, what am I supposed to be doing? And you're having all this anxiety, all this anxiousness. You're having all these breakdowns. You are having identity issues, identity crisis. You don't know who you are. You don't know what you're meant to be doing, or because of, for the longest time, you have been taught that this is who you are meant to be, and now having the awareness that you can be anything, you are confused. A lot of women that say they have insecurity, it is always attached to something that has been placed as what an ideal woman is meant to be, or who she's meant to be. When you hear women say they struggle with their self-worth, it might be because of their looks. That is why they are struggling with their self-worth. Some of them, it might be because of maybe they have one weakness, which I see as strength. Maybe they are not smart enough, they are not intelligent enough, or they don't speak well, and that will give them, yes, little things you think is little. I call it little right now because I've been able to like really know that all these things don't matter. Some women, is based on what they have, what they can afford. That is something that affects their worth, their self-worth, their value. When they don't have some certain things, when they are not looking like what society is saying that they should look like, they fight with their self-worth. Maybe, the trend now, especially the trend that is happening right now. Now, imagine some people having issue with their worth, their value, because of their body shape. Because the society is saying at this point, at this generation, you need to have bigger ass, which is actually living, the trend is living. But I'm just telling you that at the point where they say women should have bigger ass, there are people that will fall into depression because they have small ass. And most of them are the people that decide to save up, look for money, do some certain things, put their hands, or create some certain experience for themselves just to make money to go get the body that society is telling them that this is how you are meant to look like. A lot of people don't go to change some certain aspect of themselves because they want to just change it. Most times it is being fueled by what society expects, what the world expects them to look like or be or do. Do you get? This is what affects most of the people that decide to tamper with anything about themselves. It's because this is how society appreciates them, or this is how society will appreciate them or value them, or pay attention to them, love them. This is how society will respect them. And that is why you see them. See, I can't even name it. There are a lot of things. There are a lot. Some people, their worth is just tied to a man. Once a man says they are not good enough, they believe it instantly, because they have been brought into a world where they value the opinion of a man more than their own opinion, or even more than the opinion of women like them. So once a man says they are this, they believe it. Once a man says they are stupid, they are this, they are arrogant, they are this, they are not lovable, they instantly believe it, and they put themselves in a situation where they are constantly reflected that particular situation, where they still live a life not feeling good enough. So if you want to get your worth back, or get it if you never had it, if you never believe you had it, if you never lived a life knowing you had it, if you want to get it, you have to start re-evaluating everything that you have been taught. You have to start asking questions, like the real deal questions, like why is society trying to oppress me? Why is society trying to suppress me? Why is society working so hard to kill my voice? Why is society trying so hard to control who I become? Why is society trying so hard to control what I become? Why is society trying so hard to place me in a certain position, in a certain point? Why do they want me to always be on my knees? Why do they want me to always beg? Why do they want me to be at the mercy of a man? Why is society working so hard to place me? At this point, you should be asking such questions, because once you start asking these questions, you're going to start seeing the real answers, the real truths behind why you lack self-worth. You need to start asking those questions. You need to start asking, why are they working so hard? Why is society working so hard? Working hand in hand with everything around me, with my environment, with the people in my environment, with everything around me, just to place me at a certain point in my life. Why is society working so hard to make sure that I never, ever believe or know that I have worth, that I have value, without partaking in the expectations? Why? There must be a reason. To me, I want to believe that there is a reason, because everybody that I have known as a woman, that I have seen them live their life, especially the old ones, the ones in their 50s, 60s, and they live the life trying to achieve everything society says they should achieve. They are miserable. Everyone that I know, or almost all the women, almost, if not 100%, let's say 99.9%, that I have seen suppress their voice, suppress their emotions. They were obedient. They lived the life that society said they should live. They live based on the expectation that society expects them to live. They followed the religion. They followed they did everything. They ticked all the boxes. All the women that I know that did that are miserable right now. They are living in their shadows. They are living, when I mean they are living in their shadow, they are living in a life where they don't even know how they got into it, and they don't know how to live it. They don't know how to live, pull themselves out of the situation, pull themselves out of that life. So I don't want to be at that point in my life. I don't want to get to the point where I am steady asking and still I can't live, because I don't believe that I can do it on my own. I don't believe that I can actually create beautiful experiences on my own, because I've been brainwashed. I don't want to be at that point. So I ask questions and I got answers. And as soon as I got answers, I said, what? Fuck M. I said, what? Fuck M. I'm going to beep this out, but I said, fuck them. Like, fuck M. I am not partaking in this miserable circle. I'm not going to partake in this circle, whatever it is. If there's going to be any consequences for me, not abiding to those rules and the regulations, the expectation, if there's going to be any consequences, let me have that instead. Okay, serve me a plate of that. Serve me a buffet of that particular consequences I want to repeat. I want to repeat because I have seen what these people are reaping already, and this this is not it. I didn't sign up for this, okay? I didn't sign up for whatever they are eating. I want my own, I want my own dish created from scratch and served to me, a buffet of my consequences. I choose to rebel. I choose to not follow. I choose to ask questions, and I choose to ignore expectations that don't favor me. I choose to ignore rules and regulation that was never created to favor me. I choose it. Okay, I choose that. I choose not to kill myself over and over again for something that you think is going to be good for me, something that you think that is going to bring me happiness. Honey, why did I call you honey? Honey, nah, it's not going to favor me, okay? I don't want it. Serve it to somebody else. I don't want it. So you need to reevaluate, okay? You need to ask questions. You need to start finding out the truth. I'm going to make another video talking about like how to pinpoint all the things that has been used to program you or condition you to believe that you are created with lack of words. I'm going to, because once you start to understand how big of or how deep the rabbit hole goes, once you start to understand that there was never a lack at first, like there was never, it's just what you have been taught to believe. All you have to do is change the belief. Once you start to see it, you're going to truly understand what I'm saying. But for now, your self-worth isn't lacking, okay? You are not lacking. All you have to do is reevaluate. You will reevaluate everything that you have been taught. Ask questions and then say fuck them, fuck them, fuck them. Say it and start living your life like it, okay? Start living your life thinking in everything, fuck them. In everything you do, in every way you think, in every way you dress, in every way you express yourself. Don't hold back. Say fuck them, okay? That's the purpose. That's the purpose of this video. See you on my next one.